KUCR, University of California, NAMM 2020. We're here with Anthony Williams and in the KORG booth, and there is a new product here that's very intriguing. Tell us about it.
So this is the Wavestate. This is, you've heard of the Wavestation prior. Also hearing some of the wave synthesis that you find inside of the KRONOS, OASYS, namely like the KRONOS. This is the new inception of that unit. Now it has 37 full-size keys. R&D is done right in California. So let's go over some of the basic features here. So one of the biggest things about Wavestate that takes us to the next level is you have 4 layers. 4 layers in your wave and motion sequencing on a particular patch. Not only that, about 14 effects simultaneously on one patch. So 14 simultaneous effects. You also have some of the filters from the Poly 6 and MS-20 as well, found right inside of this unit. Infinite features just for creativity. The sounds that you're hearing on today's records, today's pop records, I mean, it's radio ready. So out of the box, it's a creation tool. There's limitless possibilities with this unit. Also with the vector control with your XY pattern. So as you are sweeping with the vector control, you can create other formats and tones of your sound. But yeah, this is Wavestate, 37 full-size keys, 4 different layers, all in one wave, 16 steps on the sequencing. You have 14 simultaneous effects. You also have USB over MIDI, so you can use this in a small tabletop setting as well, not only with the synth, but as a USB controller. Wavestate.
Okay, now KORG, was it back in the 80s, did a synthesizer called, I can't remember what it was, but it was also used wave sequencing, and with this kind of joystick controller. Yes. Is this inspired by that in any way?
So on the R&D part of that, I'm not exactly familiar with that. So, but we can get you with guys that do know that. But I've been a KORG fan. I'm actually a KORG artist, and I've been with KORG for about 20 years now. And I found that if you see me, well, follow me on the social media as well, AKW Music, AKW MUZIC, and you can see some of my transitions of KORG rigs over the years and how I've just been adding a lot of those products to my rig, from products from the 80s on up to now, just because they've been putting out such great hits. So this is going to be the next feature to my rig, is going to be the Wavestate. So that's one thing I love about KORG, is that a lot of the technology, you find a little bit of it from the history, from prior products, and then they just take that and they just run with it. Outside of that, from the 80s, there was no way possible for that architecture to even house like not 1% of what this does. So no, there's gigabytes of samples right along inside of this piece here as well.
Literally gigabytes of samples?
Literally.
It says R&D, you'd mentioned this, R&D in California. Yes. Is KORG shifting its R&D from Japan to California generally?
I think I can only speak from an artist perspective. I have visited Japan, and the team there is a phenomenal team. I do know that from what I've met of a lot of the people that do develop, there are actually people that work in different capacities. Now, I have lended my voice various times for a few KORG products over the years. I actually helped to work on the Vox Continental. And I know that that was a global effort as well, but as an artist standpoint, I actually got to put 4 demos inside of the Vox Continental that was announced a few years ago and then re-released 2 years ago. So as that, from my perspective, I know that there is a collective, definitely collective effort in the R&D as well. So sometimes it may be a team working on one particular project in one part of the globe and another team working on another project. And that's, to be able to keep up with dates and keep the fans wild.
I have an original Vox Continental, and I was very happy to see it resurrected, because you don't want to wear that original one out too much. But so this you said had some connection to the KRONOS. There's wave sequencing in the KRONOS. Is this the same wave sequencing, or is it much more sophisticated and developed?
Well, what I will say is that the KRONOS, being a different beast than this, KRONOS is definitely a collaborative of multiple synth engines. So you do have some forms of plug-in and plug-out synthesis with MS-20, Poly 6, things of that nature found inside of the KRONOS. Okay, of course, those menus can only take you so far. So if you're really wanting to take it to the next level, you have this brain by itself. That this is, in fact, all that it does is that. But you do find that you do have vector control on the KRONOS as well. So the KRONOS is a collaborative of several popular Korg keyboards. First, of course, having the Triton series, and then going into now skipping all of the Tritons, going into the OASYS. So the way I see the KRONOS is an OASYS, it's Karma, and it's also a Triton. So you have some of those three various workstations right along. So Karma was, I mean, the OASYS was the first to include 16 tracks of audio and 16 tracks of MIDI. So they also time warped and went back to some of the older architectures of synthesis and placed it inside of there. And you know what? I'm pretty sure, I know they were like, hey, this is going to be a phenomenal tool to do, and just to build off of the generation that of Wavestation that had such a, which so popular by the fans. And one thing I do say as an artist, I do know that a lot of the products that Korg places out are definitely inspired by what the people want. SV2 is actually one of those, and we're going to show that.
We're going to walk over there in a minute, but somebody say this looks like it has really a deep potential. You could really get into this and shape things. And what I've heard of it, it ranges from very dreamlike sonicscapes to really intense and dark and powerful and
very ethereal on this unit. So that's the part about the wave sequencing and the infinite possibilities with the 16 steps that you can use, and then also, like I said, the different depths of layering, the depths of vectoring. So once you're in the creation mode, once you found that patch that you like, you can write that unit, and like now I don't necessarily have to search for what that was. So there's also one thing I almost forgot to say, they've incorporated set lists. Set list was first found inside of the KRONOS, and that allows you to get to your favorite patches very quickly for performance. Also, SST, smooth sound transition. So that was adapted from the KRONOS, as we spoke about earlier, about speaking about the R&D from the 80s and the products from the 80s going up now. You can see how they're merging all of this technology from the different various products into this unit and cross-culturally among the Korg line itself. So yeah, smooth sound transition is big, because when you're in production mode and performance mode, playing live, if you're holding one particular patch, going over to the next one, playing it, it holds the last patch and doesn't release it.
So you have a seamless, it doesn't jar the audience.
Not at all. Smooth sound transition.
We're back here with Anthony Williams of KORG. We're looking at the SV2. I noticed in this case, last time it said R&D Los Angeles, this says KORG Italy.
Yes, so KORG Italy has a great presence with the KORG brand. Like I said, it's kind of a global effort between the states. There's Australia, there's offices in Australia, offices in Asia, in Japan, here in the States. And I know KORG Italy also handles PA series as well, where a lot of those KORG products are developed there as well. So it's, like I said, it's a family collaborative. So this is the SV2. I played the SV1, and I've been holding on to this secret for about 2 months. I got the chance to go check this out before it was released to the public about a couple months ago at the home office in New York. And when I sat down, I automatically noticed the drastic difference between the SV1 going into the SV2.
I thought the SV1 was pretty good.
I did too, which is exactly why I was floored when I played this unit. And let me tell you why. I've been telling everybody, more, more, more. If there's a phrase that says SV2, it's more, more, more. There's more sounds, more PCM data, more connectivity. Let's check this out. SV2, so I'll start with the speaker model. So it comes in two different forms. There's going to be a 71 and an 88 key, and there's also the SV2 that does not have the speakers. But what's special about this one with the speakers is it has the KRA audio. If anybody's familiar with it, if you're not, you'll get familiar with KRA from the awesome sound of the speaker set right here on the SV2.
So here at the top, on the top here, we have two speakers.
Yes, yes. So when I play this, it puts me in the mind of playing like a Wurlitzer or a Rhodes, just from the SV Stage Vintage 2. So this is the speaker model. It does come with a set of with a stand with the legs. So let's talk about some of the features. As I said before, when I sat down and played this a couple of months ago, what I first noticed upon the inception of this unit and sitting down and play it, first of all, it does have the same key bed. It is the RH3 key bed that is found in the KRONOS. It's found in the Grand Stage, and it's also found in SV and some of the other award-winning pianos that KORG makes. So the biggest jump is when you, there's 10 times the data inside of this, 10 times the capacity. And when you do that, you increase that, you increase the intelligibility of the sample capacity. So now SV1 was 80 voice polyphony. This is 128. So the depth and range of how this product just resonates and sings, automatically as a player, you feel that. Now there is an editor available for this that will allow you access for your splitting and layering and creating your own custom splits and layers with the architecture to the side of here. So there's more synths, more organs, more strings, more pads, more clavs, more pianos. I know there's about 7 to 10 variations of newer piano structures inside of this unit.
And so you can play this like a piano, you can play it like an organ. What is
yes.
It? It's a weighted action?
Yes. So it's like pitch bend, there's no pitch bend and modulation. Like I said, which puts you on what a vintage, particular piece does. There's no pitch bend and modulation on the CP70, which there are samples that do mimic that. There's no pitch bend and mod on a clav. There's no pitch bend and mod on a piano or a Rhodes Whirly. And this puts you into that mind frame. Now let's also talk about the tube technology that really takes the depth of the samples and layers really to that next level of warmth.
So is that just to get the advantage of tube saturation to
exactly.
get a more drive?
Exactly, especially when you get into the modeling of, let's say if I'm playing like...
Can you do a drive Leslie sound on this, so an organ Leslie sound?
Yes, so this does have that on there. And then when you go into the, like even playing like a clavinet or something like that, and when you go to your amp modeling, because oftentimes people will do that, here is your drive. Right there, and even the drive for the organ. Right there. So you have to turn on your amp modeling, and once your amp is engaged, from there, you can put how much dirt on it that you want.
That's wonderful. And the other effects, you have quite a good variety of keyboard effects.
Yes. So one thing I like about this keyboard is that it is definitely performance friendly. So there's not a lot of menu diving. So it's very friendly for the stage. So just walking you from left to right, of course, your master volume, EQ section. So it's very easy to find the points that you want to engage with this great button. So you can set EQ the way you want to. At this particular point, while I'm talking about the EQ and moving the knobs, the encoders on the rotary are not as clicky as on the SV1. So I do love the update on how the rotary knobs feel versus the SV1. EQ, here's your effects. So if you're playing Rhodes or anything of that nature, clavs, I can automatically put like a wah. You can put, and then you can also, if I wanted to add drive.
That's perfect for superstition.
Absolutely. So
that's right.
You get really gritty on it.
Yep.
So yeah, so there's your preset effects there. So your wahs, your tremolos, vibratos, your amp section. Because a lot of the vintage units that you play, like also, I have a friend of mine that actually plays, the clavinet through a Fender Champ amp. So, and that's how you got some of that sound and got that grit is running through an amp. So there you can pick which type of amp that you want. Your favorite patches right there. So you can put, the bank of the ones that you use all the time without trying to fish for them. That's right front and center. And it's easy with the backlit LED. You can see that with the backlit button. So in the stage setting, you can find your patches quickly. Here is the bank of sounds. So per each bank, you push that and you'll have a variation of the A or B side of that particular patch. Your mod effects, which is going to have your phases, chords, things of the nature, and then your ambient effects with your reverbs, even with string reverbs and your delays, tape delays as well. So speed and intensity, just like you would have like on the Rhodes. So yeah, it's very simplistic.
Anthony Williams of KORG, thank you very much for showing us the SV2 and the Wavestate here at NAMM 2020.